Good morning. It's 9 a.m., January 31st, 2019. I'd like to call this meeting of the Logan County Commissioners to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank our visitors for coming today. All right. Along those lines, item 3, any citizens desiring to be heard? Bobby?
I'm running you keep that covered.
All right.
Take the fifth, Bobby.
All right, hearing none. Item 4, consideration of possible action on approving minutes for January 15th, 2019.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second Mike's motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection. Item 5, consideration and possible action to approve resolution accepting $2,500 donation from Eskridge Chevrolet to the Sheriff's Office.
I'll make a motion to accept the donation.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Phyllis? Item 6, consideration and possible action on acknowledge receipt of 2018 Election Board Administration and Registration Report.
27,364 registered.
There's 2 pages. One's the county, one's the state.
Oh, I missed that.
I'll make a motion with Burden.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 6 passes without objection. Item 7, consideration and possible action to discuss revised complete application for Brownsfield's assessment program for remediation of the 6-story building right next door to us here. This is that DEQ thing. All right. So let's start with the updates.
Well, the update that we have for DEQ that I was mentioning earlier is not about the Brownsville. It's actually about the stormwater. So I think we're going to catch that under comments.
Okay.
This, however, was discussed at the last meeting that I was working on completion. Had a couple of questions, some things the board needed to decide. I had some concerns about the best way to answer these questions on this application, as far as they want to know if there was a formal plan to move ahead with renovation and such. After the meeting, Erin Samwell, who's the program manager for this from DEQ, she's the lady that was here a couple meetings back that brought us this information, called me and I went over it with her. She assured me that we don't have to be too concerned with technical information on this application. She could not be here today. She was previously scheduled. She's open to coming back and going over the actual application if y'all want to. She actually offered to go over it with me and view it and review it before formal submission. But she said as far as the questions about a formal plan or funding for renovation, that not to be too concerned about the answers for that in this. And then the one thing the board needs to understand, this is actually a 2-step thing, because the brownfield is actually, the initial step is just for them to test and identify. If they come in, they do the testing for lead, they do the testing for the asbestos. If it all tests at levels that need to be remediated, then there's a second program that actually pays for the remediation. So this is just to open up to let them test.
Did she happen to say what's our chances of getting the second funding?
She is of the feeling that the project stands a very good chance of not only the Brownsville for the testing, but for the remediation. The fact that the building, even though it's not an open to public use building currently, it is used daily by the county government and employees, predominantly the court clerk's office, who has filing rooms and are in and out of records storage over there daily. And because it is actually still used daily, it will elevate the qualification level for this building.
There's a liability there. Yeah.
So, I have not changed anything on this application from what I had previously given you all.
So what do you recommend that we need to change on what we've already got?
Well,
Here, item 7 doesn't have any responses to it at all, so we need to maybe look at that. But other than that, I was wondering if there's something we need to adjust here as a board to go forward. I think we should move forward as quickly as possible, right?
Right. One of the questions that I was not in a position to be able to answer, because I think it's a board issue, was, is there any funding that will be committed from the county? If you look at page 11, please estimate the funding available for the following activities. For the assessment, the cleanup, and the redevelopment. And I did not know how the board wanted to submit that.
Monty said he'd write a check for private funding for the whole deal.
There you go.
Cut a check for it.
District 1 gentleman,
And then my other thing is where
I can't get up on him. I've tried and I've tried.
when you get to page 9, more so than anywhere moving forward, and you're out of the yes and no type questions, I really wanted the board, since they're the ones that are actually going to be applying for this, to go over the answers that I've provided, adjust, make,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, so back to item 7. We don't have anything marked on item 7A.
And that may have just been an oversight on my
Yeah,
part.
so let's get that. That seems like low hanging fruit. Let's get that one fixed.
Well, no, the current owner did not cause the problem,
Yeah, I didn't think so. You do
and we
that?
didn't bring anything to the site.
Okay, that's a no and a no. And then C, relationship with the owner and their role in the work.
Well, we are the owner, that's why I didn't answer.
Same, right, okay. When and how the site became contaminated.
Bill.
Yeah, well, we weren't here.
Well,
Oh.
I tried to cover that.
And you did a very good job of it too, thanks. I forgot, I didn't read that part. Okay, item B1, your site.
That's blank because I wasn't for sure what the circlet is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Removal action.
I will
Something to
ask
investigate.
Aaron on that because I wasn't sure.
Okay. And let's see, this is not a petroleum site. Unless we struck all over. Okay. I think we went back to item 11 here where Troy was talking about funding. Since we don't have to worry about what we put on here, do we need to put anything in there?
Well, that's, it was never said that we were required to put anything there.
Right.
I just didn't feel like I could go as far as stating that without running it through this board.
I'd like to put on there that we're not gonna provide any funding, but I think if it come down to push or shove, I think we could go back to the Logan County Public Trust, and they might make a donation to get that project done.
Well, and it's on the 3 stages that the funding question's being asked as well. The environmental assessment, the cleanup, and the redevelopment, so.
I can't speak for that board, but
Like the redevelopment, that would be something that we would expect to be running a bond issue on or something like that.
Something
right?
down the road.
Or, I mean, once it's cleaned up, I mean, so that it's either a bond issue, which probably may or may not pass. People in this part of the world are kind of have an affliction against bonds. That's okay. It's either that or then we do it baby steps, you know, one yearly budget at a time, and put in $100,000 here, $100,000 there, and maybe in 50 years we got her done.
yeah, by the time you got to the second year, you need to start over.
Yeah.
I think you ought to call her and go over it with her and then bring it back and look at it.
Maybe she ought to
Just fill
show
it
up.
out.
Well, like I said, she told me to not be too worried about being too technical in the answers. The idea that we do not have a formal plan in place to move ahead with a renovation is not detrimental to this application. She did, because I asked her, she did also confirm that if for any reason the application got bumped out because they needed different information, it would not disqualify. So,
Maybe additional information.
right, and that she'll be glad to review it before
successful.
submission. So, but again, on the funding sources, I just didn't know how the board wanted response to those.
Whatever gets it approved, and it's legal, ethical, moral, that kind of stuff.
How about if I just put unknown at this time?
Undetermined at this time, yes.
Okay.
Not
I can
determined.
Right.
Right. What board is it that, does this go before the full DEQ board
I
that
don't know.
authorized, do you think?
I don't know.
So Troy, you're gonna get with the lady that has this form, responsibility for it, and go over it.
Here's what I'll do is I will go ahead and complete it. I'll email it, ask her to look it over. She'll send it back with whatever she says needs to be upgraded or changed. As soon as I get from her that it's good, that she thinks it's good to submit, I'll bring it back for board action to formalize and sign. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me,
Works.
anything else?
I'm good.
So we're tabling
No action.
this.
Well, we're gonna complete the application and come back and talk about it. Excuse me. Item 8, consideration of possible action to approve payment of $6,850 engineering fees to EST Engineering for TAP applications, Safe Routes Schools from CBRI account.
What this is for, Safe Routes to Schools for that sidewalk. And they engineered it. So.
Well, I mean, you're engineering this project, what's the next step?
Next step is to get the application approved through ACOG.
Is it 100% funding through ACOG?
It's 80%.
And I want to clarify, because I think I probably wrote the agenda item. EST Engineering was hired by District 2 to do the grant application and lay out the preliminary engineering to fill out and complete the application to submit. That's what these fees are for,
Right.
that he's asking for CBRI to pay.
I get that. But my question is on this grant, is it 100%?
It's an 80%.
50/50, that's 80? So how much is the grant?
I don't have it in front of me. I believe it was, what was it, like 480 or so, something like that. Our portion of it like was 120.
So where are you gonna get the funding
Oh.
for your 20%? Is where I'm going.
Well, I was hoping CVRI, but, you know, there could be.
I don't have a problem with that, I'm just asking, I wanna know.
Well, what I was asking for was the engineering part of it to be that, and then we were just out of our budget, we were gonna get the right-of-way acquisition. So we were gonna buy the property. I can't remember how much it is, 0.3 acres, I think, is what the maximum estimate is on that.
And you're gonna pay for that through?
Right. Yeah, we'll just pay that out of our income, but then we're gonna pay for the rest of it out of CVRI, if that's all right with this board.
I don't have an issue. I guess I'm trying to combine 8 and 9 here. Our next agenda item is for each of us to take an allocation out. So is that gonna be part of your allocation out of the CBRI to go to this project, or are you gonna want an additional?
Well, I mean, if we wanna kinda get item 8 in there, you know, it's just kinda what that CBRI account is, what we set it up for was right of way and utilities and engineering and various things like that, matching such as that. So if we want to distribute that, well then you're just robbing this fund for that basically. So, I mean, we could do that and, you know, stick it, but still, that's what that money was for. Like on the Coltrane project that just came in, my understanding is it's about 10% over. And so somewhere that's got to be dug up. And so I was wondering if that was CVRI that was going to do that. I don't know. I'm just
I think that'll
speculating.
come out of the serve fund.
Yeah, we got that taken care of, man.
CVR, okay.
Well, back to item 8, I'll move with approve.
I'll
pay.
second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve. Just to add a little further discussion, the 80-20 match, the total project is estimated for that sidewalk at $463,683.95. The 20% match for the Board of County Commissioners ends up being a responsibility of $122,736.69, including $20,000 for utility relocation and $10,000 for right-of-way.
Will they not let you use that almost $500,000 to repay the road down there? Make more sense than a sidewalk.
Believe me, I was shocked, and that was not the highest amount could have spent for that, you know, or asked for or whatever. Just trying to keep it low, and wow, yeah, blew me away.
Okay,
Yes.
you have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Troy, you good?
No, I just was gonna point out to you as chair, that upper flag will require your signature.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. All right. Moving on to item 9, consideration of possible action to determine amount of allocation of funds to each district from CBRI funds.
Currently unencumbered funds are $534,872. Tuesday of next week, it'll gain about 30,000 more. Of course, now deduct, since y'all approved,
Yeah.
it'll be less that.
Something grand.
I had a couple projects I was trying to get done, I just don't have the funds to do it. I was needing about 100,000 would do my project. But I guess where I was going, Mike, like if we all three take 100,000 out of this, are you gonna use that 100,000 for your 20% match, or are you gonna want an additional 120,000?
I don't even know if I have the grant or not,
True.
and I won't know until
But-
March.
But the board today could approve allocation of that CBRI funds to your account, right? Or well, to all of our accounts. And then you have the ability to, you know, put those funds away toward that if it does come to
Right.
fruition. If not, then you've got them available to do other projects with, right?
Well, and plus, I like to make you aware that an upcoming project, of course, is gonna be Waterloo and Sooner and all that. And that's gonna be a lot of right-of-way and utility acquisition. And we still don't know what that's gonna be. They're still trying to figure out the pipelines that go across there and what that's gonna cost. So that is supposed to begin in fiscal year 20. And so that would be July of this year that that's gonna get started. And with the whole project to be completed in 22, it's gonna be,
Right.
gonna be an exercise, challenge.
So I don't see
Well-
where we would be spending any CBRI money on the
Right away.
I-35 interchange because
Right.
we have an agreement with ODOT that would spend CIRB funds
Right.
only on that.
Right.
And would only be involved with that if that was the case. We never committed
Right.
CBRI funds to
Correct.
Waterloo.
And also, is that not gonna be split between Logan County and Oklahoma County?
Well, Oklahoma County will do their side. And we'll have to do our side. So that right of way and utility movement, my understanding is that comes out of the county. And not necessarily through CIRB, but maybe I'm incorrect on that.
No, I
because
think, so,
I thought that was
it's kind of,
construction.
it kind of is, and we, when this was first presented to us,
Mhm.
as I remember it, okay, was that ODOT said, yeah, the county has this much that's gonna be a county requirement, and it was for right of way and land acquisition, and moving utilities. Normal stuff that's responsibility of the county, and then we came back and said, no, we wanna modify this application.
So
Remember?
the CIRB.
So we only, if CIRB funds are available, 100%.
So
We agreed to
Right,
this
right.
if CIRB funds are going to be 100% available to fund all of these requirements for the county.
All right.
And,
I'll
and,
take that
and
on.
we even said we'd make that a first priority after Coltrane, for the board. And
Right.
so that is a priority for us, and,
Oh.
yeah.
So-
Regardless.
Can I interject for
Sure.
something, just kind of, and I think this might be something you're mixing the two. Waterloo I-35 plan coupled up with ODOT at Sooner Road was $3 million on the SERB. It's online right behind finishing Coltrane, or this next section of Coltrane that just led. However, you brought to this board, signed, this board approved an agreement and entered an agreement with Oklahoma County to do the east mile from the I-35 project between the two counties,
2 months.
or 2 miles out to Douglas Road. And that's a separate, it's not served,
Right.
it's not put on, that agreement was signed and in place as a county interlocal agreement between the two
Right.
counties to do that. So when are you looking at needing the funding for that, and how much is it gonna be?
That has not been a discussion between myself and the new commissioner. So I would not know. But, having said that, in my mind, we're looking at probably 22. When the full construction of all of Waterloo is being done, I would think it would be done basically about the same time. But then that's just a thought. So I don't know when Kevin Calvi, Commissioner, would be willing to do that. He's still trying to get on board.
My only other thing, we still need to keep that in mind though,
Yes.
because you've signed the agreement for it.
I agree.
The only thing to remind the board is these CBRI funds are in a restricted fund, so they won't transfer and mingle with your regular highway funds. Any and everything done has to come back through here as an approval on the POs. It's encapsulated.
Well, and that will still leave 234,000 in kitty if we decide to split it up 100,000 each, so. I mean, I'll vote for it if you wanna split it up. I know you got roads there, Connie, and
Well, I just gotta,
I've got them too.
So let's,
I got a CDBG grant for about 30,000, which ain't gonna cover the whole cost. But I got $30,000 of CDBG money, and I was wanting to continue that project a little further. I was needing about 100,000 out of the CDBG.
Well, and I'm gonna need about a little over two for the CBGG that I have, half of which would be reimbursed, possibly. Or I can hang on to this and do that, I guess.
so, how about each of our road districts would be allocated the use of $100,000 of those funds to be coordinated through, I mean, Troy keeps up with all that stuff for this account for us because it's a special account, but
The only thing-
make sure we're not buying pizza and beer.
Well, and so if you all don't mind, because I do track this account, let me start with D1, reminding that the CBRI funds are not for normal maintenance and upkeep, they're not for buying rock, they're for projects and project costs. So Marvin, do you have something right now that you would like to see on the list for out of CBRI, an approximate amount? I'm just trying to get an
Yes.
idea.
Yes.
Okay, do you have a dollar amount?
$100 million.
In other words, we used to do what we called the commitment list, and I think that's what we
Right.
need to do now because
Okay.
I'm hearing a lot of projects.
So, okay, so yes, and that is for a joint project between the city of Edmond and Logan County to do a complete overlay on 1 mile of Waterloo Road between Kelly and Broadway.
Do you have any idea the
I've
approximate
seen that on
cost?
TV once,
Well, it's yours today.
yeah. But,
I don't remember what the last mile was.
yeah, we were in that for around 125, I think.
That's kind of what I was
Yeah.
thinking. So,
So I'm thinking probably 150 with
Okay.
inflation, tax
Okay.
mounting, balancing, all that stuff that goes on.
as far as CBRI funds, is that the only project you're looking at?
Well, no, I've got Kelly, the same thing, we're gonna do an overlay on Kelly Avenue going north
You have
2
to pick
miles.
one?
And I've got another 2 mile overlay we're gonna do, that's on
We
Western.
have way more miles to do
I've-
than we have money.
I've got a lot of projects.
So
okay,
everyone's
so-
gonna have to prioritize and submit.
So I think what we've said here as a board, or what we're trying to say, or maybe I'm stumbling around it too much, is as a board, we're saying $100,000 for projects per road district.
That's what was being discussed.
Right, that's what I think we're discussing.
But I think we need to do a commitment list like we used to do until we completed them all.
She's wanting to tie that 100,000 to a project.
Well, right now what I'm trying to do is ascertain how much in a total is gonna be asked for in a time frame for that ask.
Right.
So you're wanting to do this year?
If I could get $100,000, sir, committed to one of my many more than $100,000 projects that I got going on this next year, it doesn't matter which one we submit it to. I would use that $100,000 and make up the rest with O&M money or whatever else
Okay.
we gotta do to do the project with.
And yes, I was trying to do a project so that when
Right.
I go to track this stuff, I can do the commitment list.
Yeah,
know
absolutely,
This
I
is
understand.
what we're doing. So
I've seen your spreadsheet, it's very informative, it's got all that information on it.
So you want 150 or 100 or 100? You started with 150. Now you went down to 100. If
I
I keep
started-
going, do I get you down to 50?
I started with 150 million. All right, is where we started, and then now I'm down to $100,000.
Okay.
I don't know, Monty, what do you think?
Yeah,
100,000.
I need at least 100,000 on Coltrane. And I said I had a CDBG, that's not correct. I've got a REAP grant of 30. I was gonna use this for matching funds, so I'd go
Okay.
further.
Overlay?
It's actually for chip and seal, but if they'll let me, I'm gonna change it to an overlay, cause I think it'll be cheaper than the chip and seal.
And 1 mile?
I'm roughly trying to get 2 miles out of it, that's why I want the 100.
Between what and what?
I think it's gonna be 70 and 73 maybe.
Okay. Tentatively, I'm just, like I
Right.
said, I'm just trying to create a list to track. Because that brings us back to Mike in the course of this discussion, you've thrown out 3 projects. Because you have a CDBG match for Green Oaks. You've got your joint project with Oklahoma County for Waterloo Road to the east of I-35. You've got this sidewalk grant, so. Okay, so let me ask this. Which one of those needs to fund the soonest?
The CBDG project, and.
And how much is your 20?
It's a.
I mean, your 50.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I was thinking the whole project was like 216.
It was a little over 200,000, yeah. A little over
So about
200,000.
120.
Yeah.
About 120 or so. And then.
And that will be done this spring,
This summer for sure.
but this year.
Right,
I mean, in the upcoming asphalt paving season.
right.
Okay, so then, and you just said you're unknown on your Waterloo with OK County.
Right,
You don't have any idea.
right. And then the sidewalk, I would imagine that they would not have a letter to proceed until, what, October or something? September, October.
And your amount on that is about how much?
It was, what was that, like 90,000, I believe?
I don't remember right.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, I'll say 100,000.
Okay.
But you think you're gonna need that in the calendar year 2019?
I believe so.
Okay, so here's where we are right now as far as making commitments on our existing balance, which it does get added to every month, but those ups and downs, we never know how much we're gonna get. District 1 has 100,000 on an overlay. District 2 actually has 2 projects to fund in calendar year 2019. The first being CDBG match for 120,000. If he gets the grant for the sidewalk, 100,000. Waterloo, we don't know yet. District 3 has an overlay project at about 100,000 to overlay 2 miles to take out of the existing funds.
Ma'am, if I might,
Mm-hmm.
on District 2's Waterloo, that's all CIR.
No. This is the
We-
other Waterloo.
We do know.
Yeah,
The other-
He has an agreement with
Oh,
Oklahoma
that's
County to go
different
miles.
It's a different project. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to do
Right.
doubles.
So the board's gonna decide to do what they're gonna do. We have 530,000.
Mhm.
After we get a few more, call it 550. Each of those are on 100. You probably, for the point of the commitment right now, because this money has been doing much better, but we've had months, we got $11,000 and drew almost nothing in a year comparatively.
That's right.
I would say for this point in time, you can come back and revisit, but you
Mhm.
probably need to pick a commitment one against what you're asking for today
Okay. Oh, yeah, that would be the CBDG project.
for 120.
Okay, so that's, you're talking about just, we need to put a priority to it, basically, so so we kind of approved the CDBG thing today with our actions that we're gonna take, and then come back and revisit the other ones as they become,
Right.
more, I guess, involved, and we gotta make a
Yeah.
decision now.
I try to keep what I call a commitment
vote.
list, so I know how
Right.
much is, we've
Right.
said, because this spans so many time in between dealing with them.
Mhm.
And plus, we're taking 7 now, so,
7,
on that engineering, 7,000 is,
Mhm.
you've already approved for it to go
Mhm.
out of CBRI.
And we'll have more
Did she get the
engineering coming
roundup
out
part
of
of
it.
that? Did she? Is that what her account?
I'm sure there'll be more engineering.
Okay, so guys, where are we at on this?
Well, I think Mike ought to pick a priority, one or the
Well,
other.
CBDG is what I said.
Okay.
I mean, if we got the funding, so be it, but if we don't, we don't. you know. Well, I'll move that we approve that.
That's $100,000 for each road district's discretion.
Well, it'd be 120
120?
on District 2,
All right.
but that's CDBG
You know, if I
match.
have to take another $20,000, I guess.
If you want to make it even, we can make it 120 across.
I'll take 140.
I have 120, 140, and it's going twice, yeah, absolutely.
So,
Crazy.
So 120 each?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll still make that motion.
I have a motion.
I guess I'll second
I
that.
have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Chairman, we have none for 10 and 11.
All right, 10 and 11. All right, on to one of Monty's favorite topics. Consideration and possible action on approving the following temporary road crossing permits for Select Energy Services. 4-inch water line across parallel Waterloo, 0.2 miles west of Waterloo, MacArthur, 500 feet west of the southeast section of 33, 15 north, 4 west, whatever. It's a kind of a puzzle here. This is over on my side of the world, I guess. I'll recommend we approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on item 12? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 13, consideration and possible action on approving the following permanent road crossing permits. Coxcom Incorporated, a .875 coax line across parallel southeastern road, 0.5 miles south of Charter Oak and road 2,740 feet north of the southwest corner of 25, 15 north through west. And 25. Who belongs to that one?
You.
I do. Who? I wonder if I can get them to bring cable out to my place. All right, and then Great Salt Plains gas line, 6-inch gas line.
When were these done, Troy? Do you know? One, I mean, the check was dated 1/11/19. Well, I was just looking up the amount. I thought we changed all that.
We did, but I don't work them up, so I would recommend that we don't approve these until I can get them to get their money right.
There you go.
I'll make a motion on Cox Cable, though, unless you already did.
I have not yet.
But I think we ought to hold off on the gas line until we get them permits correct.
Okay. So item 13 is modified. We'll consider Cox Cable and then we'll hold the gas lines. Mike, you all right with that?
Yes.
All right. So I have a motion to approve Coxcom Cable. And I'll second that. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without objection. And we will come back and revisit Great Salt Plains gas line. At our next meeting? No. At our 15th meeting. That gives you a little bit of time to run that right in the hole. Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Item 14, consideration and possible action on the consent agenda.
Payroll? There are no transfers, blankets.
That there, I mean, it's out of general government for Tony's Quick Stop for fuel. What do we get fuel for? Power washer or something?
Yeah, probably so. Don't like doing that.
Tony's Quick Stop.
And however much it was, there was only one of them, and it was $20. That's why I don't like purchase orders for fuel like that. Get a pair of gloves and a donut and all sorts of stuff like that. Greg, you remember all the fun we used to have with managing Amex cards? Troy's just starting that now. With the county government's just now getting into that mess. I feel sorry for her. For a little bit.
Me too.
I was supposed to use them for travel in the military, right? Well, sometimes the guys were traveling through night trips.
Say what?
Well, that was back in the old days. Normally the recruiting command, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I said we would go in and down that route, it was a very tiny, narrow, one-lane road with more rules and regulations, and I'm not chasing you all around.
What's she talking about? She just tossed her head around. Is that it on consent, John?
Nope. Election board goes down to Marvin, and alcoholic beverage tax. I'm not ignoring y'all, I'm looking for an email from Wall.
It's up a little. Guthrie, 14,986. Crescent, 2,074. Mulhall, 330. Coyle, 477.
Is that alcohol?
Yeah, Marshall, 399. Langston, 2535. Meridian, 55. Where's Meridian got anything?
Gas station?
I'm not aware of
I
anything being
honestly-
sold there.
But I think that that also is kind of like our fuel tax money, where they put it all in a pot and there's distribution based on a criteria, and them as an existing municipality, I think it
Mhm.
is where that comes from.
Oh, it's your participation trophy.
I think that's.
Orlando's 217, Cedar Valley's 423, Cimarron 220.
Thanks, sir.
Too cold to play golf, I guess.
You can do that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve consent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection. Item 15, consideration and possible action on approving claims for payment, January 2019.
Well, we probably want to pay them.
Probably.
Out of compliance. Public health. Fire.
Oh, Troy, by the way, kudos. I keep seeing more and more of this stuff showing up on the website. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Somebody in India really likes it.
India.
India, huh?
They hit the like button.
No, they visit almost daily and they're checking every single thing that's on there.
Wow.
Looking to get in.
China too.
Whoa. Gluten going on there.
Has Trump got something to do with that?
Somebody does. I don't think it's Trump, though.
Reval,
Rebound. Oh, okay.
assessor.
I thought I seen her come in one day.
She did, but she popped back out.
Twin Lakes going on vacation?
Well, I guess. Oh, man, I thought we was gonna slide completely through and not have a district.
Sorry, I blew that one for us.
I didn't say that.
I did. Holy smoke. Well, I think we should just not approve them and send them back to the district. What do you think?
And pay it out of their pocket.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's see.
Did you get your Walmart thing straightened out?
Yes.
Good deal.
A very long and tedious and difficult road that was,
What was that?
fixing Walmart.
I didn't think you could get there from here.
Sometimes you just have to pull rabbits out of hats.
Or other areas.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the claims for payment.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 15, let's see.
60.
Cut claims. 16, consideration possible action on approving purchase card payments for January 19.
I have one to Amazon, well, it's payable to Bank of America, but it was for one purchase.
What was it for?
Christmas bill got done.
It was for a door lock and handle set for the treasurer's office from Amazon.
You get free shipping?
Yes. I actually subscribe subscribed on the county's behalf.
So we're a prime member?
Yes, we are.
Good.
So we can order things?
You know, I get my music, can we get my music?
Yeah, but don't
from you too?
hammer me with this stuff. Be careful.
Just that one item.
Yeah, we can use Amazon.
Hey, they got a video subscription too, we could subscribe to movies.
It comes with Prime on your regular,
Yeah.
I don't know with business if it does, but it's
Oh.
on my personal.
Business. I don't know about that.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the payment card for July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Motion passes. No objection. Item 17, any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 18, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners. Mike?
Last we heard, why our CIRB money has been authorized for Luther Road to the tune of grand total of 600,000, but 500,000 was the transfer. And that's been approved. Now we're at that point where it has to be encumbered, correct?
In an approximate 2 weeks, you should get notice that it's
About 2
in
weeks.
place for your use.
There is that. I also had a short conversation with Brent Hawkins there at ACOG on 911, and he seems to think our PSAP ought to be up and running here in the next few weeks. Deal with the Sheriff's Department. And that's all I have.
I got a couple things. One, met with DEQ on the stormwater. We met with them a couple years ago, and they had like a 60, 70 page contract they was gonna make us sign or fine us $10,000 a day.
Remember that?
They sent out a new representative. Me and Troy came over, and David Ball actually drawn up a map of the area. I don't have that map with me. Do you have that, Troy?
No, it's the same way when we've sent out.
But anyway, you know, our opinion was just because that shoe fits Oklahoma County don't mean it'll fit Logan County as well. And so anyway, this guy was pretty good, common sense, really shocked me, but he was really trying to help us, and he said we could write up our own documents, and I think him and Troy's been emailing back and forth, so I'll let Troy finish up on that.
So one of the things we brought up at our meeting last Friday was the direction DEQ was falling on references back to a Senate bill that was passed in 2009 that allows counties to collect fines and issue citations for violations under their regulations for floodplain, stormwater, or zoning, planning violations. He mentioned that he found that, but he really hadn't found anything that tied that back to us when we have none of that. He suggested that I go to legal and see. So I sent Lowell the information of what Mr. Lynn, he is the assistant director, so we've actually moved out the chain in who we're dealing with. Lowell's response, and I'm going to go ahead and read it because I think it really kind of explains the position, and it's going to go into what this board is going to have to consider. Counties have no inherent power, but only that power granted to them by the legislature. The AG opinions often quote this, quote, "A county is an involuntary political subdivision of the state without inherent powers. A county is subject to unqualified legislative control except as restrained by the Constitution. A county, being an involuntary political subdivision of the state without inherent powers of its own, derives all of its powers from the state. In the Senate bill that you attached, 3 out of 4 of the sections could not apply to Logan County, as they amend sections of law that have to do with a county or counties of a larger size than Logan, or with a city of a certain size not found in Logan County, or that has a joint city-county zoning commission. Section 2 of the bill, which is codified as Title 19, Section 865.67A, could apply, but only to, quote, violations of its zoning, subdivision, stormwater, and floodplain regulations. Logan County has never adopted zoning regulations, which appears to require a vote of the people, and then only planning, not zoning. It may have adopted floodplain regulations pursuant to the authority granted to it for that purpose by the Oklahoma Floodplain Management Act. As for stormwater regulations, I searched and searched the Oklahoma statutes for the authority of a county to adopt stormwater regulations and found no legislative authority granted to a county to do that. While the section of the 2009 Senate bill authorizes fines and penalties for such violations, we must, emphasized, be pointed to some statutory authority that permits the adoption of these regulations by a board of county commissioners. Can you ask Mr. Lynn where the state statute might be found and what power to adopt that DEQ has to make us do this?
It's not only permits the Board of County Commissioners to do that, but requires the Board of County Commissioners to
Right.
do that.
So, in light of this, I emailed back to Mr. Lynn, and Monty's right. This gentleman absolutely sees our point of view in this situation. He actually went back and pulled the video from the meetings that this was all worked out and addressed, and was very enlightened when he saw. One of the things he wanted the board to understand is that we will not be threatened with a $10,000 day a fine again. That would be in the most egregious circumstance, and that won't happen anymore. So he was kind of put off about that. But he also realizes this question about the authority. So I sent back and asked him, I actually sent him Lowell's email. Can you answer that question? Can you tell us what gives us the authority to even establish stormwater rules, let alone... So I had a conversation. He called me yesterday. He and another gentleman, Mr. Hildebrand, who are managers. Again, they are very understanding of the stance. His answers to me was, I'm not the attorney, but I do think that this is a legitimate direction for the board to consider as a legal challenge if they so choose to do so. They need to have legal counsel issue that in writing to legal counsel to establish and use that as the basis for not proceeding with the formation of a plan at this point. I sent Lowell an email yesterday afternoon letting him know that I'd spoke to Mr. Lynn, that this board would have to take under consideration what direction you want to move forward. I've told Mr. Lynn, because of the timing of the agendas and the meetings, that there would not be a formal action on an agenda till the 15th of February. And he said that was fine as long, So essentially what this board, I think, needs to ponder and then determine what they want on their agenda for the 15th is, in light of Lowell's email and questions, how do you want to proceed? Mr. Lynn did tell Monty and I that he understands that we do not have the means and the ability to begin to apply that 67-page document, that they would be open to us writing our own plan narrowly, but something that we felt like we could actually do. However, in light of the legal question, whether there's even an authority out there to mandate this becomes the question. Mr. Lynn told me on the phone yesterday that he thinks that this legal challenge will actually be effect for 9 counties that are in a very similar position. So, on the agenda on the 15th, I think that the question becomes is how does this board want to move forward and to take formal action to do so?
That's all I had on that, but I do have another deal I'd like to talk about.
Thanks for sharing that. I think we need to talk to our legal counsel. Absolutely. I think we need to talk to our legal counsel.
Yeah, and like I said, I went ahead and sent Lowell an email yesterday.
And outside of that, that's all I want to say on that right now.
No statutory authority?
Another thing I've always, wanted to look into is building an expo center. I mean, I think we really need one. But I kind of went back and looking for records of how much money does our current fairgrounds bring in, and I realized they don't even file a report with us. I think we need to ask the fair board to file a report with us monthly, so we see what kind of revenues that what we have actually brings in, and what we're spending to keep it, just so we know.
Well, it's certainly within the Board of County Commissioners' jurisdiction to look at any funds, any source of funds, and any collection of funds, any account that's to be spent or was allocated or to be spent for the purpose of the people of the county. So, I mean, we've got the ability to look at that. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to think through how we
Oh, do we need to send a letter to the fair board?
ask them to come up here every month. And
I don't think they need to come, I think just send a report.
I think that they could do a report much like the county officers file, and it comes to this board monthly, but they don't have to come and do a big presentation. Monty asked me to look into statute. The revenue generated from rents of the building and concessions by statute goes back to the fair board and is held outside of the county. They have a checkbook for those funds. Now they deposit with the treasurer, and the treasurer portions them back out, and then they take that to their checkbook. But they should be filing a report of those funds and the use of those funds.
Another thought is, I mean, we inspect the county jail once a year. I think we need to inspect all county property at least once a year. And
Oh, I don't, I couldn't argue with that. I think we
Include
would
the
go
district
inspect the
barn.
jail at least once a
district
day.
barns, whatever.
Come
But like the fairgrounds, I mean, we gave them a lot of money for upgrades, and I just think we ought to be involved
I think
and
you're right.
go look at it and see what's being done, and just be a group player.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been sitting back too long. We need to step up and
That's a good
be a
point.
player.
So we want to draft a letter to,
I would like that. If the chairman and the clerk would draft up a letter, and again, chairman, you could sign it and send it to them.
if I remember right, that was your idea too.
Depends what the chairman drives, man.
Good move, Mike.
I can just.
I appreciate you, thank you very much.
That's all I got.
All right, sticking with the fair board real quick, next Monday, I think we're gonna be discussing, we've got a fair board member over in District 1 that got a job as an FFA teacher up in your part of the world, I think. And so he's gonna be coming off of the fair board membership because of that. And the fair board, they want to, the Board of Commissioners is required by statute to appoint another person to fulfill the 2 years that are left on that. So this is election year for fair board members, right? So they're there for 4 years. So the ones that good 3
years.
3.
We have a fair board election every year. We have 9 members.
Every year.
9 members are on the fair board, 3 from each district. Annually, 1 from each district is up.
So we've got this member that's up right now has 2 years left.
He was elected last year.
Okay, so he's got 2/3, not a half. It's actually a little more than that. So anyway, we've got a recommendation from the fair board, and we're going to have on the agenda next Monday to discuss whether or not to advertise or just to accept the recommendation. And so I wanted the board members to have a little time to think about that before we talk about it Monday. As if it was just 2 or 3 months, I don't see a recommendation being that big of a deal to just rubber stamp and go on. But we're talking about a couple of years. And, anyway. That's all I've got on fair board. Go ahead.
I do have one more thing on Fair Board. I gotta hold an election tomorrow for the Fair Board. At my office from 7:30 to 3:30 is the voting time. You gotta have your ID to vote, and you gotta be a registered voter in District 3. Got 3 candidates running for that seat, so come out and vote if you're in District 3.
And if I can, just to clarify why there's not an election in District 1 and District 2 for Fair Board, is there was only one candidate filed for each of those seats that were open, and they are the incumbents. Gina Davis, District 1, Mark Maker, District 2. So they are deemed elected as the only candidates, which is why District 3 is having the only election.
Okay.
And for those that subscribe to information on the county website, they receive that information through a flash.
Yeah.
She's got it going on.
I'm uptown.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, sir. I wanted to talk about having a county auction this year, this spring coming up. I know there's several of us got some equipment and that sort of stuff. And so I've got a couple pieces of equipment that I need to put in auction. I've got some, a heavy piece of equipment, and I wanted you guys' opinions on what you think about selling like a piece of heavy equipment, whether it's best for us as a county to do that locally or to do that in one of these online auctions where it's open to everybody that's bid. So I mean, if you're going to sell a $100,000 item, in an auction, would you rather do it here locally or on an online auction somewhere, or a commercial auction somewhere, or a CED auction somewhere where people come in and look at that stuff?
I'm not a CED fan, you know that, but I think you would probably get more money out of it being online or at a CED auction, is my opinion.
Is that the Ep City one?
Oak City's got, they have like 2 or 3 a year.
Elk City and McAllister.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, last time we did auction was Elk City, and we got really good prices on
But
everything.
I think on your bigger ticket items, I mean, office supplies, chairs and stuff like that, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
But on equipment, I think you'd be better off money-wise.
Right, okay. I thought so too. So now I'm going to go to the smaller items that we've got to clean out stuff. And I was kind of thinking that maybe we could have an auction over at the fairgrounds like we did several years ago. We did that, sold some stuff. Maybe we get smaller items over there and have a county-wide auction, and I don't know.
I'm not opposed, I got some stuff I put in.
I'm not sure I have any, but we just did inventory, we'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
we're cleaning that up too on our side of inventory right now, but.
I think every office would have stuff to put in it.
Okay. What do you think, mid-April?
Mid-April at the fairgrounds, depending on, because you have 89er falling right in the middle there.
Mhm.
And weather in April is usually not, but
Great.
Well, it don't matter to me. You just pick a date.
I can check with the fair board to see what they have open
Sweet.
and go from there. How's that?
All
I
right.
have one other thing just to let the board know. Several years ago, this board kind of handed over the day-to-day, take care of whatever needs done at the courthouse. The fire alarm system in the courthouse is tied to the fire alarm system for monitoring purposes with the sheriff's office. It's been malfunctioning and sending false alerts. Max Systems, it's their system, came out. The power supply, the batteries, and the control module in the courthouse part need to be replaced. It's minimal to me. It was maintenance as to getting it done. It's going to be $1,425, and it's something we have no choice. We've got to get it. We cannot pinpoint because it's a very random, and the suspicion after they spent several hours out here last week is that it's overheating and causing the false alarms. So as a basic maintenance, I just said, yeah, we'll get it taken care of.
Nothing worse than that intermittent electronic issue.
The sheriff just got $2,500, we can take it out of that.
There you go. Woohoo! It was donated too.
Yeah, they wouldn't even miss it.
It would help with our yearly inspection with the state, 'cause that's what I got dinged on with the fire alarm.
Yeah. They have to find something.
All right. Anything else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 19, consideration of possible action for adjournment.
I'll move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.